Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. The topics on the table today, people. GYOKERES, doubt. I know. Pretty shit, right? Not a fan. We'll definitely talk about that. Is Liam Delap the alternative? Will he fit United into systematically? What will the price be? Who else is in for him? We've also had more of an update on Lisandro Martínez, so more of a specific one. And there's bits about Chido Obi now, known as not Chido Obi Martin, it's Chido Obi. And the basically the relevancy of not being ready for first team football yet. Some really, really good stuff from Laurie Whitwell today, which we're going to get into. But yeah, let's kick it off with this striker situation, Sam. Bit gutted, to be honest with you. This was both of ours. I mean, we literally filmed a video the other day talking about our number one striker target, and GYOKERES was him. Laurie Whitwell's come out today saying that basically it's unlikely that Manchester United will sign Viktor Gyökeres. He wants to join a Champions League team, and United would be reluctant to commit big money to a player who will turn 27 in June. The club's strategy is to invest in younger signings. Now, there's a couple of things on that which I would pick at, but I will let you go first and have your say, and then I will come back at it.
I understand the reluctancy to spend, what was it? It was called 70 million.
Yeah, the gentleman's agreement was somewhere like between 65 and 70, right?
I understand that on a 27-year-old because I don't know if you're going to touch on it later on in the thing, but they talked on Garassi, didn't they? They were reluctant to pay 17 million for a 27-year-old. So 70 million is another kettle of fish. Now, I know GYOKERES is a lot better of a player than Garassi is, but if they're hesitant to do that, then it makes sense. Like, the clear profile that Ineos are going in is a player under 24, not had his big first contract yet, looking to prove himself, and can still be moulded into a player where I don't think GYOKERES fits that bill, does he? He's on his big contract now. He moved from Coventry to Sporting, so this is his big deal. He's 27, so he's in his peak now, which is what you're seeing in the talent that he has. I think papers and journalists and stuff like that have made a lot of the sort of connection he has with Amorim because of how good he was under him. And obviously, he was at Sporting, and we've seen that under Ten Hag. We've seen that under Jose. He brought players in that he's worked with. So maybe that's a connection. Maybe they were stretching it a bit far. It's disappointing. If true, it's definitely disappointing because I think he could be really, really good at United. But unless Sporting are willing to come down on the price, then yeah, it looks like we're going to be looking elsewhere.
It's the age thing that I'm a bit thingy with because, right, we desperately need experience in that forward line. Yeah. Desperately. All of our attackers, Højlund, Xerxes, Garnacho, Ahmad, the ones who predominantly play there are all 23 and under. We've got no experience at all. So it's all good saying, go and buy young players, and are you just going to buy all young players so you have no experience at all? Yeah, like that seems like a stupid strategy to me, personally.
It does to me, and maybe it's a negotiating tactic from United. Maybe they're thinking, oh yeah, we're not going to pay this amount for a 27-year-old, and he's only going to get decreasing price, isn't he, GYOKERES? Like, as the years go on, as he gets older, he's going to decrease in price. So Sporting, I know they have financial issues, don't they, Sporting? So maybe they think, let's drop the price a bit, let's cash in now while his price is high. Because they bought him for what? From Coventry. It's a very small amount of money, wasn't it? Yeah. So, like, you're already in a profit. So you still make a profit. The player gets to go with the coach. I know the Champions League football has been mentioned. So that would definitely be a factor if we don't get into Europe at all, which looks likely at this point, unless we win the Europa League, which is a big ask. So yeah, the Champions League football would be a stumbling block for sure that we'd have to sort of look at and try and sort of convince him that we will be in it the year after. But this year you might have to just do with no Europe.
Well, what Ineos' briefing when they first came in was football first, right? And if you're saying, okay, we're going to go for a more younger player, 9 times out of 10, unless it's Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, or any striker like this, the younger player is going to take time to adapt and time to build up and time to accept more time on everything. Yeah. And we're already dealing with a lot of that kind of things at the moment. GYOKERES would come in. He's not Harry Kane. Like, Harry Kane's still phenomenal now, and he's 31, 32. So you think even by the end of GYOKERES' contract, he would be Harry Kane's age right now. Yeah. That's the thing that I'm like, we need someone proven perfect. I'm not saying go sign everyone in that role, but you only have to look to, I don't know, last season, for example. Everyone loves Majari, right? Everyone was saying really, really good player, really great signing for us, signing for £15 million. 26 years old, 27 years old he is. Are people going to be complaining by the time he goes? No, they're not.
No.
So I don't get it. I don't get
was-
this. Oh, he's 27. Like,
But he
no.
was £14 million, wasn't he?
Of course, he was a lot cheaper. Yeah, I take that. Absolutely. But I just feel this team is fucking craving a striker like that now.
No, I
And
agree
it's
with you.
disappointing.
I agree that the idea that the solution is a young striker, I think, is the wrong idea, because we have young strikers. We've got Højlund,
two of
we've
them.
got Garnacho, who's a young forward. Ahmad, who's a young forward. Obviously, Ahmad is proving himself and he's doing better than every other forward that we have. But then the other three are not. The other three are like Garnacho's up and down. Xerxes had moments, but not quite. And then this season, Højlund has been very, very poor. So, and then last season he was patchy, wasn't he? He had the moments of runs and then he wouldn't score. So, you're right. We do need an experienced striker. And if you look around the experienced strikers pool in Europe right now and who you could get, like, realistically, Gyökeres is probably top of the bill, I would say.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get Haaland. You probably won't get Harry Kane. They're not going to let him go after a year, I imagine. I know there's rumours around he's got a release clause apparently in the
That's
summer.
60 odd million, so they're definitely not doing that.
So, do you know what I mean? So I think, yeah, there's a lot of question marks, isn't there? And then the spending, like, you remember the year when we bought Mason Mount and he was what, 64 million?
Yeah.
54 million?
No,
Last year,
Mason Mount was 55 plus 5.
Right, so nearly 60 million. And we bought him in the last year of his deal, and we bought a midfielder that we didn't really need.
Yeah.
And that's 60 million, and then we spent 70 plus on Højlund. We could have just gone out and bought Harry Kane, couldn't we?
Yeah. That's what a lot of
Do you know
people
what I
are
mean?
saying.
Like,
Eric Ten Hag really wanted him.
We could have just gone and bought that instead of doing those two deals, which have been, Mason Mount's been an utter disaster.
Yeah.
And then Højlund, there's big question marks. Whereas if you brought Harry Kane in, he probably scores 20 goals last season,
Guaranteed.
and he's probably on about 15 already at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's definitely mistakes happening in the transfer market.
Well, the alternatives that they're looking at is Liam Delap from Ipswich, who a decent player. I think it's
Same
definitely
issue,
something
though,
there.
Same issue.
Why? In terms of what do you mean? The same issue.
Young striker, inexperienced.
Oh right, yeah. I mean, that's what I
Same
mean.
issue.
I know we might not even be in Europe next season, but I agree. I mean, how old is he? Let's just have a look now. He's 22 years old. 22 years. So yeah, like it's great. We'll go get these young. Who the fuck are they going to learn off? Who's the person above him? There's no football club on planet Earth who doesn't have a core squad of experienced players where the youngsters can then learn off them. I can't think of one. Real Madrid might be a bit of one because of the amount of... I mean, they bought young world-class players already, like your Bellinghams, who are already leaders, right? That's kind of its own enigma in its own right. But look around Europe, anywhere you go to. Yes, you know, City have Phil Foden and Erling Haaland, but these players have been played from so young anyway. They're almost like top senior pros, aren't they? Foden's won, what, 5 Premier Leagues, I think?
Yeah. Well, Haaland was winning titles at Salzburg, and then he was winning he went to Leipzig, played in the Champions League, competed for Bundesligas, went to Dortmund, won trophies, I believe. I think, did they win the trophy when he was at Dortmund?
I think they won the Pokal, the DFB
okay.
Pokal. Yeah.
So he's highly experienced, been in the Champions League. So this is not like a unexperienced guy, even though he was young when he came in. It's not unexperienced, is he? He's not Liam Delap, who played in the Championship last season, and it's his first season in the Premier League. So I know he didn't play the Championship, did he? He was at City's academy last year.
Yeah.
He didn't even play first team football. This is his first year of first team football.
Yeah.
So, and then you look at Bayern, you got Harry Kane, but then behind him you got a young, ready forward in Musiala. So you've got that sort of connection there. So it's just I get it from a point if we didn't have any young strikers, but we've got a couple. So clearly we need the experienced one now. Like, I'm not saying go out and get a 34-year-old Cavani or something like that, although Cavani was quite good for us when he played. But yeah, 27, I don't think is old. I really don't.
27's a decent enough age. Like that's ready to go right now. And this is why this next section of Laurie's article baffles me. Where it speaks about, so United apparently have scouted Bryan Mbeumo, the most recent time being for Brentford's game against Tottenham Hotspur earlier this month. Brentford would look for a club record sale, right? So a club record sale, how much did they sell Ivan Toney for? 40, 50 million, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
So they're going to want 50 to 60 million pounds, right? This is the same conversation we was just having about Gyökeres. Mbeumo was 26, 27. And he's going to cost 50, 60 million quid. So what's the fucking difference? He's going to play in an attacking role. So that's you're countering your point there, aren't you? That's just nonsense.
Yep. The only thing he has over Gyökeres is he's played in the Premier League. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing he has over him. Like, Gyökeres hasn't played in the Premier League.
But Gyökeres has played in Europe.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So there's counter arguments either way you want to go. Like, he's played in Champions League, European experience. He's playing in a big league. I know it's not the biggest league, the Portuguese league, but it's in the top 5 leagues. But then Mbeumo has done it in the Premier League like year after year, and he's proven, which as much as we hate that word, he's done it in the Premier League. So that's the only thing they have over each other. So yeah, and then obviously Gyökeres has worked with the manager before, so he's familiar. So you wouldn't take as long to adapt to the system, you'd think, in theory, than Mbeumo might.
Now, typically, I would take this kind of story with a pinch of salt, but with it being Laurie
Whitwell,
who has fantastic contacts within Manchester United, I mean, you have to kind of take this for what it's worth at face value. So it is disappointing that. I think Elite Baller makes a great point as well, saying there's a lack of good striker nowadays. The market for number 9s is shit. The only other one I can think of is Osman. And you ain't going to sign Osman because, again, it's the exact same situation as what you talk about Gyökeres.
That's going to be 80, 90 million or something, isn't it? Like,
expensive. I'm not sure on the details of the release clause or what have you, but it's going to be spenny, and he's the exact same age, if not maybe a little bit older. So it's like, right, we're not going to go buy premium strikers, is what they're telling us as fans, right? We're not going to go get someone who's going to get 15, 20, 25 goals a season, right? We're going to get someone who might reach that potential. So it's like, okay, so next season, are we just... is it another process and patience and hoping that someone's going to... You got 3 young strikers who maybe they might score. Like,
So you're hoping next year that either Xerxes, Garnacho, Højlund, or whatever striker you bring in, one of them hits 20 goals in the season. You're hoping one of them does. You're hoping one of them has a Marcus Rashford season, basically.
It's
risky. It's fucking risky. It's really risky, that. Because Garnacho, as good as he is, I think he's better off the bench.
Yeah.
Impacting games. Xerxes, his goal scoring, like he offers other things in the game, and I think he links up well, but his goal scoring record isn't that. Højlund is patchy at best. Yeah. And then the rest of the weight is going to fall on Ahmad. Like, you just expect, like, as good as Ahmad's been, is he capable of a 20-plus goal season? We've not seen it yet.
No.
So,
I mean, he's certainly got the potential to do it, but we're talking potential with everyone. Everyone. I mean, we're heavily relying on Bruno the past years to put out those kind of statistics, always come up with an assist or a goal. He's not going to be doing that forever either. So then you need a Bruno replacement. I have to be honest with you at the minute, just in general speaking, I mean, Charlie's just put something in there about the news I read today is not good for United. Ineos got 12 billion in loans and they're struggling. It's why they pulled back from the sponsor stuff. Jim will most likely not get more shares at the club. They've also got a situation ongoing with the All Blacks with the sponsorship? Is that, I think that's what it's alluding to.
The way its thing is, though, it's Ineos Holdings, which is a separate company under the umbrella of Ineos in general. So it wouldn't affect United, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's Ineos in name, but it's not connected to the Ineos that own United, if that makes sense. So we should be fine. I think it was just a story that was put out because it's connected to Jim Radcliffe. So
I think we have to balance it, though, because had Qatar come in, and we don't know what would have happened if they would have come in, right? They didn't even offer the right amount of money in the first place, yeah? But had they come in...
They didn't prove they had the money either.
I know. So. But had they come in and done exactly what Ineos are doing right now, that would also be a fucking shitstorm. So since they have come in, there are things I like. So we'll talk about Chido Obi in a minute and his development and stuff. There are things I like with that side. That is the only positive I can think that Ineos have done. Please name any others.
I think they've been handed a really shit hand. They've come in.
Yes, I agree with that.
That's not to say they can't be criticised because I think they rightly should be criticised for some of the decisions they've made, which we've spoke about. Ticket price rises, get rid of concessions for young people and old pensioners. The disabled thing, I think they rolled back on though, but that's an issue. The removal of the charity donations, that kind of stuff. Rightfully criticise them for that. The redundancy of all the jobs and the further ones that are supposed to be coming, criticise them for that 100%, and that 100% should happen. But have come into a club that was. So I read a report, I think it was yesterday. I think I did the show on it when I was doing solo. And James from the Muppets sort of spoke on it as well. They came into a club where if the Glazers hadn't sold a portion of the club, the club would have gone under into administration and bankrupt within 2-3 years. Like, that's how bad the finances are. So the injection that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has put in recently, is it like 450 million? I think that's how much he put in.
Yeah, which
maybe
he gets
less.
Equity back for. It's not out of his back pocket.
So
so
he gets equity out of it. That's basically gone towards operating costs, because without it, we couldn't operate. We weren't functioning. So I think people need to realise, without Sir Jim Ratcliffe, this club may not be here, or it may be on the way out. So, and then there's the people whose the argument was, well, maybe if Sir Jim didn't come in, they would have been forced into a full sale. But that option was on the table, reportedly. We don't know for sure, but apparently it was on the table. And nobody came in. Qatar were sniffing around, but when they were asked to produce funds or proof of funds, they didn't. Either they refused to, or they don't have it. I don't know which one. Either one is possible. So they didn't. So Sir Jim came in, and according to James from the Muppets, that he slowly will edge them out and eventually take majority control. But he's walked into a shit show, and I think he's having to make really tough decisions. A lot of them I don't agree with, which we spoke about. And now they're having to look at transfers and be like, we can't drop 70 million on a player. Like, as good as we think he is, as good as you think he is, as good as he is, they're thinking we can't drop 70 million on a 27-year-old because there's no return on it. We need to be diligent with money, which is why you're looking at young prospects, cheaper deals, loans. Is later in Laurie's article, which I hope we don't go and do, but the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Jamie Vardy, that kind of stuff. I hope that's not true, but yeah, I think that's what they've walked into. So I think it's a double-edged sword. I think they should be rightfully criticised for some of the decisions they make, but I think the reason we're in this position is because of the Glazers, not because of Ineos. That's why we are where we are.
The whole narrative, though, with players, oh, we can't bring them in because of this or that, that's fine. Like, you don't always have to spend money. You know, look at Liverpool, didn't spend fuck all in the window, right? And probably going to go on and win a league and win a cup, for example.
Smarter transfers.
Didn't spend any
Smarter
money.
Transfers.
Smarter, I get. But I think our squad right now, in comparison to a lot of the squads near the top, is just broken, completely broken. That squad needs money invested into it desperately. And needs experience as well. So that's not going to wash with me personally, the fact that, oh, well, you know, and people might say that finances aren't in place or whatever. It's still Manchester United.
Where's the money come from for that, though? Where's the money come from?
Well, for example, right, we make around what, 500, 600 million pound a year, right? You also have a lot of players leaving in the summer on contracts. And you're expecting other players to go as well, like your Marcus Rashfords and stuff like that. So the summer budget isn't going to be tight if you're letting off big finances like that. No, not a chance.
Well, it depends if we can sell Rashford, if we can sell Casemiro.
No, but even the players that are going on a contract. So, for example,
no, that will free up. That will free up
definitely.
Something. But you may not sell Rashford. You may not sell Casemiro. So they may be sticking around. So that's 350k a week sticking around, possibly. So you may not get rid of them. I hope we do, but it's a possibility that we may not. So we're on the thin line of PSR, and I think the debt repayments that's still ongoing with the Glazers, and people are like, why doesn't Sir Jim just pay it off? Because it's not his debt, and two, if he pays it off, it just emboldens the Glazers to stay, doesn't it? Because they're like, oh, we can stay now because the debt's been paid off, and unless he gets any equity from it, which why would he do that and then give him further shares to take further control of the club and possibly push them out? So it's a tricky situation, man. It's a really it's not a black and white situation as much as a lot of online people think it is. Like, we're a bit smarter. We read articles and stuff, and people in our chat are really, really smart as well, come up with some great points. So I think it's really difficult because we're both fans, but at the same time, I'm trying to be as logical and as sort of detached as I can when it comes to the sort of finance thing. But I think you're right on certain points, but at others it's not as simple.
If Omar's really coming out with this Project 28, right, whatever it was, winning the Premier League, you think you're going to do that by buying young players every summer? No, not happening. Not a chance.
No, I think it has to be a mix. You're right. You have to mix it with young players and then what we've been looking at in terms of like 24, looking for the first big deal on the cusp of being possibly great. Like that, I think that's literally what City have done, haven't they? Mamouche is what, 23, 24?
Yeah, young.
Fantastic season at Frankfurt. He's about to hit something. They hope. Same with that. The defender they bought who had a really bad first game.
I can't pronounce his name. I know you're on about.
That's what they've done. And then you have to be smart with transfers. Like Liverpool have been Salah for 30 odd million, McAllister for 35. Mane was like 30 something, wasn't it? Like that's where you've got to find these things. And then there was a report out yesterday. Our data center has not, the guy who started it has not been replaced since 2023. So that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Because every single transfer things, Brighton, Liverpool, Chelsea, they all use these data centers to find these players and things like that. And ours is now 2 years behind where everybody else is. And I think Sir Jim said when he walked in, our data center is like prehistoric. So that needs to be fixed in order for us to find these gems and find these talents and improve our scouting network. That needs to be fixed as right. So we can find experienced players who ain't going to cost the earth. But it's difficult because Chelsea are going after him, Brighton are going after him, and they're all in better positions than United are right now. So there's more competition for players than ever. This is not United of under Fergie where we could just go and take Newcastle's best player, go take Thingy's best player. It's like, it doesn't work anymore. There's too much competition.
I think a lot of the times the difference or the big difference makers. Look at the Liverpool game yesterday, perfect example, right? I know they ended up drawing the game, but the big difference makers were the experienced players in that. Mohamed Salah got a goal and got an assist.
He did nothing all game.
Yeah, did nothing all game.
Did nothing.
Got a goal and got an assist. And you fucking desperately need that. I don't want to be going into a window and saying, right, so we're going to go sign a striker, but he's 20 years old. We're going to go sign a midfielder, but he's also 20 years old. We're going to go sign a centre. Do you know what I'm saying? We haven't got enough leaders in this team.
It can't all be that. Like, it cannot all be that. You can't just go out and buy kids and expect to win anything. Like, when Alan Hansen said that famous quote, he won't win anything.
They already had.
They already had established players within that team.
Yeah.
Like, they already had people, the likes of Roy Keane. Brian Robson was still about for a bit.
Yeah.
People like that was still a part of that. Schmeichel was a massive part of that team. He was a leader. We've seen it. Like, so you're right. We do need experienced players in this team and leaders in this team. So they can't just be going out and buying youth. I agree with you. But at the same time, we can't just be going out and dropping 70 million on the likes of GYOKERES. Yeah, I agree. And it's been so long since United have ever done that, if ever. Like, we've never done that. Like, especially post-Fergie anyway. We've just gone, Jadon Sancho, player of the year, 70 million.
Yeah.
Cavani, he's a big name. Wan-Bissaka, 50 million. Harry Maguire, 80 million. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that anymore. That's why we're in the position we're in, because of that shit.
Right, let's go to the comments then. Please do smash the like, guys, on the video if you're watching. Just takes 2 seconds and hit that subscribe button. Who said that we were close to going into administration? I'm blowing my own horn here. I'm joking, but I did say it. You do not have to dig much in the numbers to see what trouble the club is in. Don't even talk to me about Sancho. Stealing Euro from Real Madrid, Barada from City. Yeah, that was a good buy. And nothing against that. Very surprising buy as well. But again, he's a youngster. He's very talented. Let's see how he develops.
Yeah.
I do think young players are going to be one of the main pillars to sustain the club in a long run, though. That's if these youngsters, I've said it so many times, they have to come into the right environment. If they're not, they won't fill their potential and fill their boots in what they're supposed to do because they don't have the right environment. You know, if Foden was coming up now, for example, I hate using City's thing here, but if Foden was coming up in this team now, you know, his development and his education won't be nowhere near as what he got at City because you develop into that winning mentality because he's winning Premier League from early and he's surrounded by these top players like Kevin De Bruyne and stuff. When you come into United's team at the minute, there's a lot of players who don't know what their best position is. There's a lot of players who are in and out of the team. There's no consistency there at all.
Well, Gary Neville said, didn't he? He said when he first broke in the class of '92 and stuff, there was people around, like, so when he would step out of line, they would be like pulling him in and be like, no, we don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, this is the way we do it. And he said the training was like the hardest thing in the world. So by the time you got to the game, it was nothing because they did so hard in training and went at each other in training. The game was like a day off almost. I don't think those people exist at the club right now.
No.
I just don't think there is a Roy Keane about. I don't think there is a Brian Robson. I don't think there is a Kasper Schmeichel. I don't think there is anybody that in the club right now.
I agree. Someone said, would you take Jamie Vardy?
No.
Oh, no. Multiple reasons why I wouldn't. The fact that he's 38 years old. The fact that this is a player who relies heavily on pace to get in behind. Yeah, no.
And the fact that his blood is probably 90% Red Bull at this point. Like, let's just,
No. Let's not do that. Right, we was talking about strikers, and we went off on a big tangent there. But Chido Obi, so he has trained with United's first team on a couple of occasions under Ruben Amorim, according to Laurie Whitwell, usually during recovery days, but he's 17 and regarded as having areas of his game to improve before joining the senior squad on a more regular basis. Now, obviously, my days are everywhere because time is just no concept of time in a minute. But we did beat Chelsea 5-1. I think there's a couple of goals from Scanlon and a hat-trick from Chido. In that game. So obviously they've advanced, and I think they play Arsenal in the FA Youth Cup, which is amazing. But this is someone who, again, we've had conversations about before, so as the people in the chat. Maybe it's time for a little bit of a push, but staying a bit coy on that in a moment, aren't they? Trying to kind of push him back a little bit, say just steady on, basically.
I think maybe they don't want to hype him too hard yet. Because I think we've done that with young players in the past, haven't we? We've like come in and be like, this guy's the next big thing, and then they've kind of just Januzaj comes to mind. People like that, like they get hyped up too much and then too much too soon, and it doesn't quite work. So I think you're right. They're just keeping a lid on it for now. Maybe we see him for 10, 15 minutes in a game somewhere in the next couple of weeks. I'd like to see that. I think that would be positive for him. But yeah, let's not start him and think he's our solution to our strikers' problems, because that is probably not. Like, I know there is phenoms out there, like somebody in the chat said Wayne Rooney came in at 16 and scored a goal. Like, not everybody's Wayne Rooney. Like, sorry to say it, but
my God, if there is a Wayne Rooney out there, then please let us know.
Take it now.
I'll take him all day.
Not everybody is that good at that age. So
once in a lifetime players you're talking about here, like they're very hard to find. Especially, it's a lot easier to convince Wayne Rooney to come to the club as well when you're Premier League winners, and you know when you've got the amount of titles behind you, and you've got Sir Alex Ferguson in charge. It's a lot easier to say, "Do you fancy coming here, Wayne?"
And it's like, and you've got players like Tevez, Ronaldo, people like that at the club. Like, it's like, oh, where do I sign? Like, fucking,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Now you're going, do you want to come to United? And we're like 13th in the league, and it's like, it's a project. We are financially broke at the minute. There's a lot of issues at the club. Do you want to come? And they're like, I'm not sure. I might go to a Champions League club. So different scenarios at the minute. But I take everyone's point. It's very valid. I understand completely what everyone's saying. It's a downer for me personally, because me and Sam, because Gyökeres would have been perfect. UTFR said it as well. He wants Gyökeres. Maybe it will happen. Maybe it is a bit of a poker game. I hope it is. But yeah, if Laurie's putting it out, it does give me a sense of doubt and uncertainty. So God knows who they're going to go for in the summer in the striking department. It ain't going to be no one of his quality, I don't think, if they're not going to go get him. In my opinion.
If it's not Gyökeres, I don't see us moving for an awesome.
No one better.
I don't see it happening. So yeah, it'll be interesting anyway. It'll be interesting to see.
Maybe they might come up with a Sesko or something like that, and you're like, okay. Then I'll come back to the table and I'll have a conversation. But for now, I'm a bit annoyed, so we'll have to wait and see. I think we'll leave it at that, guys, because I have got to head off to work. Well, I was going to say unfortunately, but not unfortunately. I don't mind it. If you can, drop us a follow on socials, bottom right-hand corner of your screen, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. That'd be absolutely amazing. Content should start getting back on the road now properly. It's been a bit of a gap. Sam has filled in on certain occasions. Obviously, appreciate that. But yeah, we're working to sort it. It's also, when's the video going out, Sam? I don't want to jump ahead.
When should we put it out for members? When do you want to put it out?
Whenever. I don't know. What's
on Saturday?
Yeah. Weekend.
Games on Sunday, innit? So if we put it out Saturday for members, they can watch it on Saturday, and then they can watch the game on. Yeah, I'll put it out Saturday, and then we've got obviously the preview tomorrow. For the Spurs game. So come and check that out. And then, yeah, members, if you want to join, we've got an extra bit of the Carl Anker interview that we did that nobody else gets to see. So if you want to see that, please go check out. And then that members video will drop on Saturday. So, yeah, please do consider.
We also have Premier League predictions as well back tomorrow. So please do join us for that. Enjoy the rest of your day, people. This has been Man United Breaking News. No Gyökeres.